Cloud, there we go. So again, welcome. My name is Lisa Snowis, 33rd District Reflections Chairman. This is Reflections Virtual and what happens after you get all of your submissions. And so first thing I'm going to do is open up my PowerPoint, but the PowerPoint does a funny thing. So I am going, oh, I've got to stop it and open it again for you to see it. There we go. All right. What's next? The virtual entry form and to reviewing. That's what we're going to be covering here today. Open the chat up here. Put that over there. All right. And as I said, if you are, if you've got a question, throw it in the chat or raise your hand. And depending on how large our group gets, we should be able to answer these live as we go. Oh, we're getting to be a good sized group. Yay. All right. There you go. All right. So if you are a school chair, a lot of your questions will be able to be answered by your PTA president. They sometimes get the information through the from their council president, but your immediate upline person would be your council reflections chairman or your council president. And then if you're still having difficulty or you need an answer now and you haven't heard back from them, always feel free to contact me, reflections@33rdpta.org. I'm always here to help, you know, and support all of your council reflections chairs, because we do get busy occasionally and we have a life. So before I forget, I want to remind you that the theme search is open right now. The theme of reflection is not something that's given to the students by an adult. It is something that a student from somewhere across the country has submitted. And so the young man from New York submitted Show Your Voice. That was 2 years ago. The themes are always submitted 2 years in advance, selected. And so starting on September 1st, the poll has been opened on the California State PTA website. Your student can go into the website and search for Reflections theme search, and they will have either a paper form that they can fill out, or they can just go online and input their ideas. So when you ask a student, you know, show your voice, and they kind of look puzzled, or they go, I don't really get what the theme means. Tell them, what kind of theme would inspire you to create a reflections entry? And they may say, well, I would think it would be this or that. You say, great, why don't you go online to the state PTA website, input your ideas, and what will happen is the state collects these submissions by the students. They select 5 to advance to national. All the other states across the country also submit 5 entries. And from those entries that national receives, they select the theme for 2 years from now. So even if a student may not have time to, or chooses not to participate by submitting a creative submission for this year, they can certainly submit a theme search theme, and then see their theme being the Reflections theme in 2 years, which is kind of exciting. We did have a student a few years ago, a couple of years ago, that did that. Quick review of Reflections, because again, this is Reflections Part 2, Advanced Reflections. The categories are dance choreography, film production, literature, music composition, photography, and visual arts. The divisions are based on the grade: primary, intermediate, middle, and high school, based on the grades listed, and also the special artist category, which is just another, it's actually a division that a student may submit in. All the materials are already provided for you. You don't have to recreate the wheel on this, easy way or hard way. Everything is on the California State PTA website. The local leaders guide is kind of your trail of breadcrumbs. It has everything in it, step by step, on how to start your reflections, how to run your reflections, how to collect entries, how to celebrate afterwards, along with the student packets, category guidelines, and all the promotional graphics. So you don't have to create any of your posters or logos. They are all there for you. So knowing the guidelines. Now, a lot of this is made a lot easier with the virtual form, but if you're working with paper forms, which you can do either. The entry form must be completely filled out with all the student information. Every entry must have a title and the artist statement. Those are required. Just as a reminder, the national guidelines do not limit students from entering. They may enter in more than one category. So if you've got a student who's musically inclined, also wants to submit a literature piece and took a great photograph that relates to the theme, show your voice, they may submit in all 6 categories. They may submit more than a single entry in a category. So say they have a poem and an essay that relate to show your voice. They may submit that in the literature. So there's no limits on this program. It must be original, created for this year. So it can't be something that they wrote 2 years ago and they go, oh, that relates to show your voice, and bring it back. It needs to be written with the current theme in mind. Only one student can create an entry. Again, we like collaboration, but the Reflections program looks to one student. So they may have a dance that requires 4 people to do their dance. One student needs to have choreographed the dance moves for all 4 people in their dance. They can participate as one of the dancers and have 3 friends, or they can have 4 friends do it and they can direct. Same thing with the film. They can have as many friends, they can be in the film, and they can have as many friends star in their film, but the student who submits it needs to have written the screenplay and done all the directing and directed the camera work. Make sure to look at the guidelines that are available for each category. They're category specific guidelines that detail, the parameters and the of each category submission. And the artist statement is really important. That is what ties the entry in to the show your voice theme. And the students are given 10 to 100 words that they can express that. All right, reasons for ineligibility. PTA is not in good standing with the state. Now, again, I was talking earlier, there's a section that asks for PTA dues paid, membership dues paid, insurance paid, and bylaws up to date. We all know that we trust that your PTA will pay the dues and the insurance timely, even though they may not have been paid now. So those dates you can put in October 1st for the membership dues, and I believe the insurance is due in November. As long as in good faith you feel that your PTA is going to pay them, go ahead and put those forward dates in those sections. The one place that you tend to get tripped up is the bylaws. Now, a lot of schools, because of the pandemic, didn't have a chance to update their bylaws, and they may have gone stale. Bylaws are good for 5 years. So if your bylaws date, which can be found on the front of your bylaws, or you can ask your parliamentarian or your PTA president, because they both should have a copy of that someplace handy. There's a date on the front. That's the date that it was last updated. And if that date is before 2017, then your school needs to start working on getting your school in good standing. But as long as you're working on it, your students and your school will not be excluded from participating in reflections. They may, as long as I always look at it as if we don't penalize students for something an adult should have taken care of. And certainly the students had no control over bylaws being updated or dues being paid or insurance being paid. So as long as they're working on it, it's fine. A submission prepared by more than one student. So again, you've got a group of students and they all put their 10 names on that submission line. You can go back to them and say only one student can submit, or if they say, no, we all want to submit, then you can, of course, say, that's awesome. You took the time to express yourself to the theme. You'll get a participation certificate for your submission, but it can't advance because the guidelines for national say one student. The other thing is prepared by other than a student. I just had a situation where a reflections chair called me and said, this is the most adorable dance done by a kindergartner, but it was parent directed. And you could hear the parent in the video saying, okay, honey, do this dance step right there. Okay, stop right there and move on and do this dance step. And again, this was a kindergartner, and the parent and the kindergartner may not have understood the guidelines. You still embrace that entry because they took the time to express themselves, but it will get a participation certificate, but it can't advance because, of course, the kindergartner didn't create the dance. It was directed by the parent, unless the student was a special artist, in which case a special artist can have may have accommodations that that assist them for, you know, whatever they need assistance with. So in that case, but because the entry came in so early, it was suggested that for the reflections chair to go back to that student and say, hey, why don't you create another entry? We love your first entry, create another entry and let your kindergartner create the moves they want to do in whatever order. And so, politely, explain to them the rules and what the goal of the reflections program is to allow students to express themselves. Entered into the wrong submission, entered into the wrong category. We talked about that in length at the first workshop, where you work with the student to find the category that fits their entry. So I think that training, the recording is up on the 33rd District channel, so you can go and watch that. We talk a lot about that. Wrong division, that means just the student got confused, and even though they were in 3rd grade, they accidentally checked the primary box. It happens, because last year they were in primary. We're going to jump forward to the reviewing, and then we will go back at the end to talk about the virtual form. So organizing your artwork. When you provide the entries to the reviewers, they have a rubric that's very detailed. This is just a summary of the rubric. The interpretation of the theme garners 40 points. This is that artist statement. This is strictly based on, how well that student connected the theme to their submission. Artistic creativity garners 30 points, and mastery of the medium garners another 30 points to give the full 100 points. In reviewing, please do not be the reviewer. Please, if at all possible, do not have anybody from your school be the reviewer. That means your teachers, your administration, your PTA parents, because we want this to be really transparent, and for people not to be able to say, well, their parents are this or the student is that. If you have blind judging, that means the judge doesn't know anything about the student. That is the optimum way. Places that you can find your reviewers would be maybe the public librarian would be great for literature. A local photographer that isn't any way related to, or, to the school. It's not so-and-so's parent from the school. It's a photographer outside of the area. A dance studio might do your dance. Again, slightly outside of your area, and maybe you can check to make sure that none of the students who are submitting also attend that dance studio. Other places that you can look for reviewers If you're at an elementary or middle school, look to your high schools. High school students are always looking for service hours. This is a way for them to earn service hours. So look to your photography classes at your high school, your drama classes at your high school, your music classes. See if any of those students might be interested in reviewing middle school or elementary school submissions. If you're at the high school, or even if you're at the elementary school or middle school, consider looking at your local community colleges. Maybe find an alumni from your school who's at a local community college, who's involved in the arts. See if they would want to be a reviewer for you. And again, the key for them is that they are going to see the title, the artist statement, and the entry. And that's all they're going to see. And they need to really focus on the artist statement in order to get that interpretation of theme score, and then the actual artwork to see what how they judge for the creativity, and the last one, whatever it was, forgot. Okay, so we want to celebrate.
Can I share one thing really quick?
Yes.
So something that's worked really well in my district has been asking retired teachers to come and help, because for some reason nobody ever leaves Norwalk and La Mirada, but we have all these retired teachers that are just looking for some way to help our students. And I know that when I was a unit chairperson at my elementary school, I went to not my retired teachers from my elementary school, but from one of the other elementary schools. And I asked them, can I get a hold of some of your retired teachers? And we just swapped. And it was really great to have our teachers be able to go over to the next school, just, a couple miles down the road. And their retired teachers came over and looked at our stuff, because it's still looking at something from, seeing what the kids are able to do and available to do. And then the teachers are really happy to be a part of it. So that's something that works really well in our district. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you, Erin. That is an excellent suggestion. So there you go, everybody. The retired teachers. I hadn't even thought of that. Thank you. All right. So then you've collected all your entries. You have had them reviewed. Now what do? You celebrate. This is where PTA, we do a good job. We love to celebrate and recognize the students. So you can do that. Again, before you if you have trophies engraved, make sure the names are spelled properly. The celebration, it can be whatever you choose it to be. It can be an art display, a great place to do it. Yeah, you can recognize the students at an assembly if your school has assemblies. Another great way to do it is at an association meeting. What brings in parents more than their kids being spotlighted for an award? Brings in all those parents. So you could have it at an association meeting. Easy way to make your quorum. If if you're looking for quorum, have a reflections display and do those awards that evening. The types of awards you can get. Oh, the other thing is contact your media. Let them know, celebrate. These are students in their area that they can celebrate with you. What you can purchase, it could be as simple as a certificate, or you can get them a ribbon, or you can get them a medallion or a trophy. All these things can be purchased at the PTA store, or support your local trophy company, local businesses, small local businesses. They need our support in order to stay in as a local business. So consider doing that. The typical awards for Reflections. First place is Award of Excellence. These are the names that are used for the awards. Award of Merit is your second place, honorable mention third, participation award. Everybody gets recognized. Anybody who submits an entry should be recognized as one of these. If it's not one of the top awards, definitely a participation award, which minimally would be a certificate, maybe a ribbon, and to be recognized publicly. you know, at an assembly or at an art celebration. So people ask how many awards can be given out. I always say, you know, if you get 10 primary visual arts entries, I always cut it in half and say, okay, 5 of the 10 will get participation awards. We know that only 1 student will receive an award of excellence, because your award of excellence is the student that will advance to the next level. So at your unit, you have your 1 award of excellence in your primary visual art and 1 award of excellence in your intermediate visual art. And those, and in all the other categories that you have submissions in, and those will advance to the next level. You can only have 1 of those, but then you still have 4 left students that are not the participation awards. So you can do 2 award of merits and 2 honorable mentions. It's completely up to you how you do it. Again, a lot of this is recognition. Preparing your entries for the next level to advance to either your council, or if you are an out of council unit, advancing to me. Make sure your paperwork is, this is more for if you have paper submissions, because the virtual submissions, this is already done for you. You don't have to worry about paperwork. Making sure forms are legible and complete. The virtual form doesn't allow an incomplete or illegible entry to be submitted, but if you have paper forms, you may need to convert those to virtual forms to advance to your council. Check with your council to see what they would like you to do, whether they want it all virtual or whether they will accept part of them as paper. Every entry has to have a title and artist statement. We'll see that the virtual forms require that. It doesn't let you leave the form without filling those in. Have copies of everything to advance to the next level. Handle those entries carefully, because your visual arts and your photography, your visual arts are one of a kind. If that gets damaged, you can never replace it. It's priceless. And so if you are handling physical entries, a portfolio is strongly recommended. Just something to keep in mind, units and councils, for any entry that is advancing to the next level, for visual arts and for photography, please remind those students to not hide those away. Don't sell their artwork. I had a situation once, actually it was last year, where a student had done a painting, submitted it and it was a virtual entry. So it was a photograph of their artwork. It went on to advance up to the state level. And so when the state contacted the student to that they wanted to display it at the state convention, the student said, "I'm really sorry, I didn't feel it was my best work, so I painted over it." So just remind your students to hold on to their reflections artwork if it starts advancing. Let's see. Wrapping up and evaluating, we will be sending out these participation forms. What we'd like, the top part is about your school, your unit, who you are, how many students are in your school. This is for the numbers. We want to know how many students are participating at the 33rd district. And it all starts with the units, because that's where participation is. This top section of the form, we're asking for all the students that participated at your school. So not just your award winners. This is, so if you got 10 primary visual arts, you'd put 10 in here. You know, your total school may have gotten 50 entries that are made up of all the categories and divisions. So that's what we want at the top, all the students. So keep track of those. And then the part at the bottom are entries that are advancing. So again, here, you can only advance 1 dance primary, only 1 film primary if you've received those submissions. So that this will be a form we'll be asking for as it rolls up. Your council chairman will be asking for that from unit chairs. So as we talk, virtual reflections or paper or a hybrid, and that is completely up to you. As you rule your school. That is so cute, Erin. I'm sorry. I got distracted. I see a puppy. I go, puppy. I'm like puppies who see squirrels. I'm the person who says puppy.
Sorry, she was at my feet begging to come up. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll hold you for a little bit.
All right. So at this point, your job as the unit chairman should be to be getting the submission forms out to the students. And this is your paper submission form that probably most people are familiar with, unless you're brand new to the program. It's just, name, contact information, artist statement down below, up 10 to 100 words, and the title, and check what you're submitting. Very straightforward. The virtual form mimics that. And we'll be showing you and walking you through the virtual form in a bit. This is how to get the virtual form. There's a link, and I will put that into the chat when I switch out PowerPoints in just a bit. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is it's best to have a Google account, and making sure that the Google account that you've got open is the one you want to catch your entries. It's highly recommended that you create a brand new Google account, a Gmail account for your reflections program. So you may do, your school name, reflections@gmail.com. Create that, because what Gmail does is it allows you 15 gigabytes of free storage for every brand new Gmail account. That should be enough for you to collect all of your entries in. If you should run out of storage, if you get to 5 gigs or less, then it will stop collecting entries. So if your students say, I'm trying to submit and the form says it's not collecting anymore, and you haven't turned the form off, please check your storage, and it might have gone below 5 gigabytes, in which case what you need to do is you get another 100 gigabytes for $2 a month or $20 a year. It would be a reimbursable reflections expense. Then once you've got this opened to the Gmail account that you want your entries to go to, you click the make a copy and give it a couple seconds, because what will happen is this screen will pop up. It will say missing file upload folders. What this is the Google form will create buckets for you, folders for you, for your entries to go into. So instead of one big bucket of reflections entries, and then you have to sort it going, oh, here's a film entry, oh, here's a photography entry, oh, here's another film entry, and you have to make your little piles of all your entries. The Google form will, when a student submits a photography entry, it will automatically go into the photography folder. If it is a visual arts entry, it will go into the visual arts folder, so that when you open the folders up, you will find just your photography entries, or just your virtual art entries, or just whatever other categories it is. So make sure here you click restore. It will warn you. Again, I had set up a brand new Gmail account to catch the entries for this demo. So I had a full 15 gigs left. You can hit continue. Or if you are running low, you can go in and upgrade your storage. So this is what what you will see once you open this. And I call this form behind the curtain. Whenever you see section, the student is never going to see this form. It's a Google form. It's the back of the house. It is behind the curtain, and they're never going to see it. You will always know that when you see section, you are in the area where you don't want to change any of this. Please don't change it. It's been set up so that it will flow to the spreadsheet, to your judging sheet, and will upload to your council chairman, and everything will match up. So section, when you see section, don't touch this area. But you want to know, what will the student see? See this eyeball up here? You can click the eyeball, and this is what the student will see. The student will see the form, and it will ask for data just like the paper form does. Please remind your students not to use a school email account here, non-school email, because it's not the Google form, it's not Reflections, but it's the school that doesn't allow outside emails to come into your students. Of course, you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want, all those spam emails we get to end up in your students' school email account. So the schools block those. So what happens is, if the student uses their student email here, they will not get communication that their entry has been received. And if that's the only email contact you have as the chairman, you're not going to be able to contact them either, because it's going to bounce right back to you. So that's just a reminder, not to remind them to use a non-school student email account. Then they will fill this out just with the information that would be on the paper form. If the student selects visual arts, it's going to take you directly to the area where they can upload that type of entry. And it will require, so for example, visual arts, if the student tried to upload a video in this section, it would stop them, because in the visual arts bucket is only going to take JPEGs or PDFs, I believe. So it forces them to put in the right file type. Now we're going to work through a full demo of how to submit one, because in case you haven't submitted one yourself, we can talk through a little bit of things that could go wrong that you might get questions about from your students. This banner says, please make sure to hit the submit button below, and you will receive an email receipt that your submission has been accepted. Now, make sure this submit button, you'll see when we do our demo, sometimes you can't see the submit button depending on how your computer or your device is set up. So you'll see that. And then after they hit the submit button, they should see this. It's a screen that says, do you want to edit your response? So for example, they say, oh, gee, don't know if I put my apartment number on our mailing address. So they can go back and edit their response. They can also edit the response from the email they receive. The email they receive will say, would you like to edit what you submitted? They can go through their email or right here before they leave the entry portal, or they can submit another entry. So if they have 3 entries they want to submit, they can go back and start over and resubmit and submit their next entry. How do you get this to the students? So now, remember, this section, we know we are behind the curtain. This is not what the student sees. We don't touch this form, but you want to send it to the students so that they see just what we saw in the eyeball. You click the send button, and it opens up this send form pop-up, and it says you can email. So if you want to get all 500 email addresses of all the students at your school and input those here, you may. Little bit of the hard way for me. Let's make it easier. Now you can look at this and you can click this link, and it creates this really long link. And you can copy that and give that to the students, but that just is messy. Let's go easier yet. Shorten URL, you click that box, you get this nice tidy URL, and you can copy that and share that. Or even better is, we've all gotten used to QR codes. We don't get paper menus anymore. You go and there's a little sign on the table and you click the QR code, go to that, and there's your menu right on your device. Same thing here. You can take this, find a QR code creation software, drop it in, and grab that QR code. You can put that in your social media, on your bulletins. You can print it, put it on paper posters that you may have hanging around the school. Easy. All right. So when you are behind, okay, we're gonna do this live, this section. So we're gonna actually try this. Oops. We are going to try this. I'm going to get out of screen share. I am going to, gosh, you guys are so quiet. Any questions? Questions? You're all experts.
So far, there's none in the chat.
Yeah, I put them all to sleep. They're either total pros at this or they've walked away from their computer. Okay.
I think it's just you've answered all of their questions before they could even ask it.
That's pretty scary, isn't it? Okay, what I am going to put in the chat right now is the link to the virtual form and
Blanca has a question. Her hand is up.
Yes, Blanca.
Hi, yes, can we submit in paper? I think it's easier.
Absolutely, you may submit in paper. That is completely up to you. You'll have to check with your council or what city is your school in?
Bellflower?
I'm sorry, Bellflower.
Yes, Bellflower.
Okay, all right. So you're one of the ABC Council, former ABC Council schools?
No,
Or did Bellflower have a council?
Bellflower Council.
There is a council. Okay, so you will check with your Bellflower Council chairman to see how they would like to receive them ultimately. You may absolutely collect them in paper at your school.
Okay, thank you.
You're the boss. You're the boss of your school.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so if you could throw yourself back on mute, Blanca, and put your hand down unless you have other questions, that would be great. Okay, so what I just dropped into the chat is the virtual entry form where you can click it and follow the steps. And the virtual steps are the slides that I just showed you. So you can use a copy and paste those on into your own desktop. And then after the workshop, you can go in and follow the steps. So now I am going to share my screen with, where am I? Here. There we go. All right. So you've copied the form and you've dropped it in and you've got it in the email account that you want to collect your entries in. We know we're behind the curtain because we've got sections here, right? Let's walk through creating a form, a submission. So in this case, I'm going to select the eyeball. It is going to give me the form. And this will help you, by walking through it yourself with me here, you'll be able to answer questions that the students at your school may have on things they run into that don't work. And if you're familiar with things that tend to go wrong, it will be easier. So I'm going to put in Lisa and I'm going to put in Reflections, last name Reflections. Grade, what do I feel like today? I feel like I'm going to be in 5th grade. I'm a big girl now. How old are 5th graders? 11? Let's say I'm 11. Anything with an asterisk is a required field. Parent's name, I'm going to say dad. Parent's cell phone number. Now you'll notice the formatting. Sometimes students will get stuck here because they are putting dashes and parentheses. We asked for just dashes, so you can put, area code and phone number. And if they forget a digit, which sometimes happens with those paper forms, they run out of room and they just write 3 digits. Then if you try to contact them, you don't have a good phone number, it will stop you and it will say, you need to format it and you have to have all those digits. So this helps you to make sure that you get a good phone number. They can put in an extra phone number, an address. Oops, what did I do? Oh, town, street, city. I'm just going to put city, state. I'm just going to put state. and zip code needs to have 5 digits in order for this field to be accepted. Ownership. This is where they sign. This is where they would normally sign on the paper form, and the signature acknowledges that the PTA has ownership of, and it will be displayed, publicly displayed. So in case there are students who are protecting their image, their likeness, you know, this may not be the program that they want to participate in, but they can participate and then let you as a school chair know that they would like their entry not to be advanced or not to be publicized. That would be up to them. Title of your work, I'm going to say loud and proud. Proud. Oop, I didn't spell that right. And details, if they've done a dance and they've set music to it, they need to disclose who the artist and song is. And there are several other in the guidelines. It will describe what needs to be put in the details. Artist statement. So here, 10 words minimum, 100 words maximum. On your paper form, sometimes you'll get a student who will say, you know, show your voice is cool. And that's all they write for their artist statement. And then you have to go to them and say, you have to have 5 more words that you'd like to add to this because it has to be at least 10 statements. The virtual form will not allow them to advance without to the next item without them filling this out. And it also stops students who like to put in a War and Peace novel. I've seen 3 pages, single space typed as their artist statement, and had to go back to that student and say, can you pick 100 of your favorite words out of these 3 single space 3 pages that you'd like to use as your artist statement. Okay, and as soon as you hit those 10 words, that error message disappears. What grade was I in? I was in 5th grade, so I'm intermediate. And let me show you what this looks like. If the student selected dance, they are going to be taken to the dance, and anything that's input here is going to end up in the dance folder for you to find later. It must be an AVI, MOV, or MP4. So if they try to insert a JPEG, this section will not accept it. Same thing with film. If they put in anything other than a movie file, it will not be accepted. It will stop them. Same thing with film. Literature, music. This is something that students run into. Again, Johnny plays the piano and mom videos Johnny. And so there's a video and the soundtrack. This music composition requires it to be only an audio file. So they may say, I'm trying to upload this video to the music composition. You have to explain to them, they have to convert it to just an audio file. And they can input their, upload their notation and their, or lyrics to a song. Highly recommended for any grade to upload lyrics to song. Photography, visual arts. Let's go to visual arts. I'm going to add add the reflections workshop flyer. That's what we'll add. And go to next. Now remember where I said, depending on how your computer or your device is formatted, you might not see that submit button. So that's why, please make sure to hit the submit button below. You will receive an email confirmation, because in this case, my computer, I have to roll down to see that submit button. So make sure that your students understand that they should hit that submit button, and they should get an email confirmation to the email that they put on that very first page of the entry form. Now, this is where they can edit their response and go back in and put in that apartment number that they forgot, or they can submit another response. So what we'll do now that we've input this entry, we're going to go back to the behind the scenes form, because this is where the judging magic starts happening. So now we have 16 responses.
Hi, Lisa.
Yes.
Hi, this is Aluna. I have a quick question
Uh,
about the music that you were explaining to upload the audio file.
uh-huh.
And if they have to also upload the notes,
Uh-huh.
like in a document, how do they
Yeah.
do that?
That was a separate section. I went, okay, here. Let's go to, let me go. Oh, darn. I don't know if I can go back there. Oh, yes. Okay. So let me show you. Edit response. We're going to be able to go back. That's a really good question. We're going to go back here. We are going to select music composition. Next. This is the section where they upload their audio file. See right below it, notation. This is where they can add a JPEG or a PDF of their music, the notation, or their lyrics. And so that's where that goes. Good question though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've got you covered. We do. Oh, now, because I said it was a music, it's not going to let me leave. I've got to go back. I've got to change this back. See, it's not completely foolproof, but it's pretty darn close, because I go back, my visual arts upload is still there. I can go next. Again, must hit submit. Must get this last screen, and an email should show up. Let's see, what do we got in chat? Okay, yeah. All right, so now we're going to go back to the behind the scenes form. And we know that because it says section. But this is where you are going to be able to generate your judging spreadsheet. See where it says responses? We now have 16 responses. This is where you can, it's the last day of submissions. It's coming up on midnight, and it's midnight, and you can turn off your responses. So now what will happen is that should a student go into the form, it will tell them that it is no longer collecting entries. So submit another response. It will say this form is no longer accepting entries, and because you have hit this little toggle. Of course, there's going to be a family or student who calls you crying the next morning or at midnight saying, my computer glitched up and I couldn't input. So you open the form, let them input upload their entry, and close it again. All right. With this is, I call your green present. It is your gift. It's Reflections' gift to you. This is going to make your reviewing process a lot easier, because when you click that, all of the entries that all of your students have submitted are right here. With everything there, it has contact information, students information, the title, the artist statement, the grade, division, and all the files that were uploaded. So here is a visual arts file entry, and here's a photography entry. And you can see here, here's a literature entry. And this one shows it's this one, here's an audio file. So all of that is there in one, and everything is amazingly legible. You don't have to guess, what does that really say? What is the truth? Is that a 1 or a 7? So it's very easy to read. First thing you want to do here is, this is your master form. This is where your original data is. I go up here and call this the master. That means that Yes, Blanca. Nope, Blanca went away.
No,
right.
sorry, was me to lower the hand.
Oh, okay. All right. If
Thank
you
you.
could put yourself on mute, that would be great.
Yes.
So I changed this to master. This is where if you start manipulating your spreadsheet and something goes terribly wrong, we never make mistakes, but should we delete something we shouldn't have? And we go, oh my gosh, there used to be an entry for Bobby and now Bobby's entry is missing. You can always come back to this form, this master. What you're going to do is make a copy of the master. And instead, we're going to call this the judge master. Judging master. We're going to make a copy of it. Now we have the master and the judging master. What we're going to do, it takes a couple seconds for the judging master. We're going to close this master spreadsheet because that way we can't ever mess up and make changes to that. That's just going to sit in our Google Drive. I will show you where your Google Drive is, in case you're wondering. Oh, that wasn't it. Google Drive. Google Drive, you are in your the account that you are collecting entries at. You go to this little tic-tac-toe board. You find the drive. You select that. And see in the folders, there's this folder that says 2022-23 Reflections Student Entry. If you click that, ta-da, magic. This is where all the entries that the students have submitted have gone to. So if you wanted to see your visual arts entries, you can double click that. And here's all those visual arts entries that the students have uploaded. Photography, same thing. Here's all your photography entries. You don't have to sort anything. It's all sorted for you. We can look at our drive again and see that judging master, not the judging master. Where is it? There should be. There it is, master. That is going to sit in your drive and you're only going to refer to it if something goes terribly wrong with your judging master and you need to totally recover from start again. All right, so you can see here that everything that the student has entered is right here in the spreadsheet. And now we start making magic happen. So here, as we start working on this judge sheet, certainly the judge does not need to know anything about the student. So what we're going to do is we are going to hide everything from the first column to this column. And I will be emailing everyone who's on this workshop a step-by-step. There is a step-by-step. It's 5 pages. It's long. It's scary. Sit down when you've got a clear mind and you just sit down, Zen moment, and you can go through it. But you can also refer to this video, this recording, which we will be posting. You'll be able to see it and look at it. And if all else fails, email me, call for help. You can always hide columns, never delete a column. You can delete rows, but hide columns. So I'm going to hide these columns. But what if I accidentally delete the columns? Oh, no, it doesn't let you. So there you go. I can only hide them. It only lets me hide the columns. So now I have the title, the details, the artist statement, the grade, the art category, entry code for blind judging. Some people use this, some people don't. I like to hide it. Then we've got the scoring columns, interpretation, creativity, technique, total score. Oh, you know something? We are not going to use this. I'm going to go back to the master because I forgot to do something. And this is the magic of being able to go back to the master's form. I forgot that we need to put in the school information. So in the form, go in and put in the school and information. PTA number, this number is on your bylaws. You can ask your president for it. Local chair would be probably you if you're here as the unit chairman, your email address. I'm using my state email address, phone number. Council, I'm going to say this would be the council you are in. We are all in 33rd district unless you've snuck in here from another district, in which case, welcome. We welcome everybody. State, California. Member dues. This is where I was saying you may not have paid your member dues yet, but you intend to. You know your PTA is good for it. You may not have paid your insurance yet because it's generally not due till November, but you know they're good for it, and you've looked at your bylaws and they were renewed in 2020. So they are still good. What you can do here is you've got all these entries and all this information. Do you want to type that over and over and over again? Let's say no. We want to work easier, smarter, not harder. So you can go and you can copy by hitting the shift key. And this is all in the step-by-step. Then you're going to copy all the way down and backspace and paste. Oops, I did not do that right, but I can always undo. Let me do, I think I'm having a tough time. It's late. I'm so sorry. Okay, there we go. All right. I highlighted them, but I didn't copy them. But did you see how magical that undo button is? This is my favorite button. Undo, undo, undo. Okay. It's late, I'm punchy. And paste. There, magic. It's all there. I didn't have to type it however many times. 18 times, 17 times. So start with that. Now we're going to make a copy of this. Make a copy. Now this is going to be called Judging Master. I don't know. And it is going to copy it. And I'm going to take the master and I'm going to hide it so that I can't ever make a mistake and grab the wrong one. This judging master now has all of the school. And the reason why you think, well, I know that Johnny's from Seaside, from my school, but what will happen is that when you advance these to the next level at your council and they don't have this information, they won't know what school Johnny came from. They'll have Johnny's art and all his information and they'll go, oh, so please make sure to do this. Your council reflections shares will thank you for filling that out, because otherwise they'll be coming back at you going, you didn't fill this out. All right, so now we've got this judging master. Now we can hide all these columns that the judge does not need to see, because we don't want the judge to have any thoughts on these entries. And again, we are always going to hide columns. So now I've got the title, the details, the artist statement, grade division, art, entry code for blind judging. I'm going to hide that. That is optional whether you do that or not. Then we have our scoring columns: interpretation of theme, creativity, technique, total score. Now, do we want, when your reviewer is putting scores in these, do you really want to sit with your little calculator and add them up? No. So we're going to make it easy. Again, all in the little recipe book that we're going to be sending you. But for right now, you're going to click those three, hit enter, click that, say copy, and we're going to paste it down here. Now what happens is that if we put in a score here, it adds them up. It's magic. Love that. So that's what you may do. And then if you student award, that's not something that the judge needs to see. So we're going to hide that column. Then you have all of your art categories. The reviewer also does not need to see what school this student is from and all of this information. So we're just going to go over and hide these columns as well. All right, so now we've got the score sheet. So in this situation, we've got one dance entry, primary. So that will advance. If you only get a single entry in a category in a division, that will advance. What is recommended that you do, though, is to make sure that not to blindly send it up to the council, because I've actually hover over it, make sure that it's playable, make sure that it really is a dance. I had one situation where someone had grabbed the wrong file and it was a market advertising. And so went back to the student going, was your dance really this market advertising? And they go, oh, I must have grabbed the wrong file and uploaded it. We all do that. Yes, Hilda.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
This is a wonderful presentation. We love it. We have one question though.
Yes.
For sending the ones that are the winners, do we have to send you like only the winners, or can we send you the whole spreadsheet?
I'm going to show you how you'll be able to send only the advancing entries.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. See, good question, but you're ahead of me. Good one. All right. So in this situation, the film production, it's a single entry that will advance, literature advance, music composition. But here we've got several photography entries. And so what we're going to do is we are going to make a copy, duplicate this sheet. Now on this new sheet, we're going to rename it photography, because this sheet is going to go to your reviewer. We are going to, again, you can delete rows, but not columns. So I'm going to delete these 4 top entries because the photography reviewer does not need to see them. Delete rows. Same thing down here with the visual arts. So now we just have our photography entries here. We can sort them to make it a little bit easier for the judge to look at them. So we've got 2 primaries and 4 intermediates. So your reviewer goes through and says, okay, so this one's a 40, 30, 30, that's a perfect score. We've got, 35, 25, 25. Let's do 39. Okay, so now we look at these and we go, okay, so this is going to be your primary advancing entry, of course, because it has a perfect score and this one does not. But then you look at these intermediate entries. These 2 are tied. And again, you can't advance for your first place a tie. So you look to your interpretation of theme first, and you say, oh, look, this one has 40, this one has 39. The one with the higher interpretation of theme is your advancing entry. So we know that this one and this one will advance out of the photography category. Oh, and the other thing that you can do to make it neater is you could hide the columns that with categories. And again, I could have done that earlier, but this allows the reviewer to look at these and to read the statements. Little bit about the statements. Again, this is also in, I'm going to go back here. This is also in the detail, but for example, here, I can't imagine life without, and your reviewers going, I can't read that. You can make it bigger without a voice, but you know, there's more there. What you can do is you highlight this section, you go into, this again is in the detail that I'll be emailing you. You can do word wrap, and there, now there's no, the reviewer, make it easier for your reviewer. And now they can read the entire statement very easily. So let's look at this. This is going to be, Hilda, you have another question? Or did you forget to put your?
Yes. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Oh.
Another question. Yes.
Yes.
Because you know, Whitney is very competitive, and so
Yes.
because everything is open to everybody. So if they look like they have the same grade, for example, can we have like, can we give like 2 of the first awards, but let them know only you are advancing because you achieved the highest in the interpretation? Can that be done?
That's up to you and your school.
Okay.
You may do your awards in any way you choose to.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Lisa.
Sure.
Hi, Lisa.
Yes.
This is Halti. I have a question.
Yes.
So it looks like when you click the link of the entries, it shows the artist name. So do we have to rename the files so that it hides that identifier?
You can, if you choose to. Yeah. For example, this one shows the artist name. You may, if you choose to. You're hoping that your judges do have, you know, integrity, that you've chosen your judges wisely, and that they won't judge based on a name. But if you choose to rename them, you may. Absolutely.
And then same with, I think I've seen where last year, there were some identifier also on the actual artwork, like the visual arts. Yeah, sometimes they put the name. So
yeah,
I think I remember
they sign their name. And when you're doing physical judging, you'd have post-it notes all over the paper covering up all of the names and the markings and things that might have shown up. Again, it's harder to do virtually. You'd have to, you know, take a block and do some photoshopping to put over that. Again, it's up to you whether you feel that your judges can't be, you know, fair and impartial by seeing that. And you can ask your judges, please ignore any, you know, on your honor, just ignore anything that you may see that identifies a student, and judge it just purely based on the, you know, the artist statement and the submission itself.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right. So advancing these, here we go. We've got these 4 that are advancing. This first photography was advancing for intermediate, and we can delete, again, delete rows, not columns, and we're going to delete. Oh. Delete that row, and we've got these couple of intermediates and a primary. let's just say the other one had the higher score. You'll be, of course, checking to make sure. Again, only one entry advances per division and art category. So now we've got one visual art advancing, one intermediate visual art, one special artist visual art, primary photography, intermediate photography. Oh, there's 2 intermediate photographies. And then the dance, the film, the literature, and the music. These are your advancing entries. What you will do there is then share this with your whoever is you're advancing your entries to. You'd put their email address in here and hit enter, and then you'll be able to hit send. A send button will come up and you'll be able to send it to them, allowing them to see it. The other thing you will need to do is the only way you have to share in 2 places. You are the owner of these entries if this is your spreadsheet, but you need to share these entries with your reviewers. So that's where, in addition to the spreadsheet, you'd be sharing with both your reviewers and when you're advancing. Go to your Google Drive and go to these folders. Where'd the folders go? So with your reviewer, the photography reviewer, you would share the spreadsheet and right click and share the photography folder, because that's the only folder that the photography reviewer needs. And you'll input their email address, hit enter, and then hit share, send. But with your council, you will be sharing the entire folder. That, see, the folder explodes and has these 7 mini folders inside, but you could share each one. Share this one with your council chair, share this one with your council chair, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and that one. Or you can just share the entire folder with your council chair, because they will need to have access to all of them, and put their email in there and do the share. So I think that is what will happen next. Again, any questions? It made
Will
perfect sense? No. Yes.
will we get notified when we have submission, or we checking the folder?
Okay, you can get notified. Hold on, let me pull up where'd it go. No. One moment. This one. On your form, in your Google form, the one that is behind the scenes, the one that has sections on it, and let's say you're still accepting entries, you can go in here and select this right here, where that little snowman under responses. I call it the skinny snowman. So that's what it looks like to me. That's why I call this one the green gift wrap. That's a skinny snowman. Hit the skinny snowman, get email notification for new responses. So what will happen now is that it is selected every time a student submits an entry. The email that is collecting the entries, your school name reflections@gmail, will get an email saying, you've got mail, you've got new entries. So yes, you can turn that on or turn it off. Depends on whether you want that. Or you can come back to this behind the scenes, the one with the sections, go to responses, and you can just see right there that there are 16 responses received. And it's always interesting too. This provides you with more than just the information. It provides you with some data, because you can see, well, student name, student last name, that's not important, but grade. So if you want to stir up some, enthusiasm within your school, and you see that your, that here, first grade has only submitted 1. you can go to the first grade teachers and say, hey, the second graders have 4 entries and you only have 1 entry. Don't you want to do better than the second graders? You can play that game with them. That always works. The other thing is, if you go down and see down here, these bar graphs are wonderful. I love bar graphs, or circle pie chart graphs. Right here, art category. So say you have your English teachers, if you're at a middle school and you look and you go, look, there's only 1 submission. That one's going to advance. If you put students, if you submit in literature or in film or in dance or in music composition, there's only 1. If you submit, you've got a 50-50 chance, if there's only 2 of them in there, that you might be able to advance. So these are just kind of fun to look at. And if you want to play school students' classrooms off of each other, if they actually input their classroom number in that optional section, you can say, hey, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones's class has more entries than you. Don't you want to do better? So that's in this summary section. All right.
Thank you so much.
That was great. Thanks for asking that, because some people may want notification and some people may not. Other questions?
Lisa, I actually have a question for you.
Yes, Erin.
Even though I'm a part of your team and everything.
Yeah.
So my question really becomes, and you might have covered this when I had to run out to go and help my council president do something really quick.
Yes.
But so my question is, once we have our top people and we share that information with 33rd district, or like the units share it with council and stuff like that, is there a way on Google Sheets to easily combine sheets to where like we don't have to re-input the information?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you cover that? Like, did I just miss that? And you and I can talk about that another time.
I did not. If there, for anybody who is a council chairman out there, this is, let me open this. All you do, it's just spreadsheet management. You can go to your spreadsheet and copy. So here, yes, you can see that. Okay, and let me move this over. And say this is Judging Master School 1, and you get Judging Master School 2. All you have to do, I'm going to just copy these. Pretend this is School 2. You can do copy, and then you have School 1's spreadsheet somewhere else. You open up School 1 spreadsheet, and right below the last entry of School 1, you can do paste. And there's all those entries.
I meant like, so even at the unit level, for them to get their first place winners onto like the council sheet and stuff like that, it would just be, I would then just take them and put them on mine, and then
Right.
so they can't put them on mine. I would.
No.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. You're going to have a brand new blank sheet.
Right.
And
Okay.
you're going to get information from School
Got it.
A. You're going to copy, drop it in here. And
Got
then School B sends you their sheet. You're going to copy their entries. But before you copy them, make sure that they've put their school over here.
Right.
Their school information, because if it's not there, then you're going to have all these nameless, schoolless entries.
I see. Okay. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you so much.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Good. That was an easy question. I thought you were going to try to stump me. So
Thank you.
welcome. Liz, Hilda, Rita, Debbie. Blanca, Heather, Healthy, Jennifer, I don't think is here, but her logo is still up. Aluna, Amanda, any questions? Or now you're all experts? You'll be receiving emails from me. Again, this recording will be up on the 33rd District channel sometime. No promises as to when. It's when, you know, the tech that be is able to edit and upload it, but it will be there. I am here for questions. You'll be getting the step-by-step. And there are no questions that should be left unanswered. Reflections should be a joyous and happy and wonderful experience for everybody. There's too much anxiety and stress in the world, and this should not be one of them. So make sure that if you're thinking, gosh, I don't understand, or I'm a little lost, just stop right there and email me or text me, because if you get an email from me, you'll notice I put my cell phone number on everything. And I want to hear from you. I'd rather have you ask the question up front and not be anxious or wondering whether you're running off the cliff. Nobody wants to run off the reflections cliff. And you've always got the safety net of the committee. Erin is here to help you as well. And I'm here, although I do need to warn you, I will be out of town and may not have immediate access to internet starting next Wednesday for 2 weeks. So I will have periodic access, and as soon as I'm able to, I will get in, but it won't be as instantaneous. So thank you. Oh, thank you. All right, I don't think there's any other questions in the chat. I really appreciate all of you for providing reflections to the students at your school. Students at your school are really lucky that you are there for them and allowing them to express their voice, show their voice, express how they're feeling. Show your voice, I think, is a bit confusing for people. Make sure they understand that there's no right or wrong answer. I think that's been one of the things that this theme has brought up, is that parents and students are going, what do you mean by show your voice? Give us an example. Well, the example is what's inside of you. It's whatever it means to you, to the student. And yeah, people are so used to having a right answer, a wrong answer, one that's going to do better than others. If you do it from the heart, that's really what we're looking for, is allowing them to express themselves. Again, being 2 years of, like this unknown, this pandemic, students have a lot to say, and this is a way that they can express themselves. It's non-judgmental. It opens doors. So, I don't know about you, your kids will come home, you go, how was your day? They say, fine. What did you do? Nothing. I mean, right? I mean, that's the typical answer. And yet you can, if they write something or draw something or, do a crazy dance, you go, how does that relate to show your voice? And they can explain it. And that opens that conversation of what they're feeling. So, all right. Let's see, is there anything else? Thank you to Erin for supporting. Thank you, Melanie. She's our EVP. She's been the one who, behind the scenes, but very helpful. So, all right, everybody, I am going to stop the recording